Hello, football fans. Ryan here. I'm being joined by
Also, Ryan.
Ryan. Appreciate you being here. We're going to wrap up this season, and so let's get to it. Let's get to the play. This play is from our association.
From beautiful Southwest Washington, Ryan.
Team in red is Union,
The hold's good. The kick is low.
and the defense, the team in white, is Evergreen.
And we have no good call on the field, but it looks like red might have a different idea on it, right?
I think they're going to talk about it.
Yeah, so this play really affected me. It has five very good officials, over 100 years of experience on the field, probably a dozen
I couldn't tell.
trips to the state playoff games, and they had a field goal kick. I mean, a kick like you're not going to ever see. That thing went up like 10 yards and just stayed there. What I think it did a right angle up and down. When I first heard about it, I rushed home and looked at the video, but unfortunately, the video 30 frames didn't do it justice, and so I couldn't tell. But if you look at the players on defense, their reaction, it did go in. And this was a play that was a big one in our association for 2025. Like I said, it affected me a lot. It really depressed me. I felt so bad for those guys. It wasn't lack of rule knowledge. It wasn't a lack of caring. It wasn't even maybe mechanics. And if it's mechanics, it's a step. Just good guys, good officials. And I just felt so bad for them. It was just kind of a perfect storm. One of those one in a million things.
Yeah, and it's interesting to hear commenters below. How do you position yourself so that you can be best to make that call, especially when the ball is coming in at a wonky angle like that? This was not a sort of NFL kick that goes up and hangs up and is nice and tall for it. It was a very short kick right at the crossbar there. And so tell us in the comments, how are you looking at that? What are you looking for? How are you communicating? How can you make sure that we're getting those calls right?
I call it the world's first fastball knuckler. I mean, and I'm not trying to make excuses for the crew, but that was a kick you're probably not going to see a lot, especially at other levels. And just again, kind of a perfect storm. I felt so bad. This thing kind of lingered as if you've officiated for a while, you know how some of these things can do. So this was kind of a big play in our association, in a season where we had some big games and some big plays. But Ryan, I'm putting you on the spot here.
Okay.
How would you sum up your 2025 season in one word?
I would say that I would say progress. Progress. I This year I didn't sort of go into it thinking that this was going to be the case, but I ended up splitting my varsity assignments. I had 5 at headlines, which has been my primary position, and then I had actually 4 as a white hat. So it was sort of a season where I progressed. I was able to, as a white hat, do a little bit higher division than I did last year, and so I think that sums it up for me.
You've got some news, but I'm just going to tease it.
Okay.
If we're going to go to your big news later on in the program, but you got some big news. Yes, progress. Great word. I think definitely that is for you to split your time between headlines. I worked with you a couple times this season. You were awesome. It was great working with you. Ryan is such a great communicator out there on the field. Yeah, his calls may screw you, but he's going to tell you all about it. No, I'm kidding. His calls did not screw anybody. He's a very good communicator, and I learned a lot from watching him. So, but you got some big news. So your word was progress.
Yes. What is yours, Ryan?
My word is craggy.
Okay, that is a bold word choice. Tell us about that.
Ryan. I was going to pick coarse, but whenever I do this, I always like the 2-bit words. I like the big words. So craggy, it wasn't really smooth, but it wasn't completely the opposite of smooth. So it was kind of craggy. It had some ups, it had some downs. We'll show you the nadir of my season in just a bit. But you know, the zenith was us working that game with the team from Texas. That was a lot of fun. Although I felt like the fashion police because they have a different concept of equipment out there in Texas, and that's great. But that was definitely the Zenith, and I'll show you the nadir in just a sec. But before we go there, I said craggy, and I think this next play is craggy. So I think this play is craggy, and this comes to us from California via ESPN. The official in the other clip we showed you broke down this clip. He did a great job, and so there you go. Yeah, I mean, this could have been worse, could have been better. Crew handled it pretty well. It probably wasn't a lot of fun, but it wasn't miserable. And so I think this play, even though it's not from our association, to me is a good example of what I mean by craggy.
Yeah, we have a lot going on there. Obviously, we have a player losing their hat. Plays dead. You know, that calls the play dead, whether there's a whistle or not. Hopefully, you do get a big whistle in there. We can't necessarily hear that here. But then it looks like a lot of extracurriculars after. Ryan, what do you got?
Oh, well, I got a lot of things. And if you slow down that hit, it may have looked like the quarterback was kind of initiating it, but I'm probably going to call it on number 9 in purple there. So I've got that. May have something too on the helmet coming off. But our discussion in-house was about whether or not to make it a unsportsmanlike conduct foul, even though it was contact. Throw that flag on the talking. That way it gives it a little more sort of impetus. It gives it a little more gravitas than just your run-of-the-mill personal foul. So we had a really good discussion on that. Play was also turned into a here's the play video too for this channel. So not only does it, to me, exemplify what craggy is, but I thought it was a play, kind of opened the season, and I thought it was a really good play and a great play to talk about.
Yeah. Interested to hear in the comments. What do you got on that? You may have commented on the previous video, but let us know. Do you have a UNS? Do you have a personal foul? And then, what takeaways from there? Ryan, one of my first thoughts is as soon as that hat gets off, let's get in there. Let's be present both physically and with our whistles so that it hopefully doesn't escalate from there. Again, I'm not hearing the sound, so I don't know how much of that was going on, but I think that's a good point, regardless how to handle that situation.
Oh, you're not having a technical difficulty, are you? I mean, we don't have any of those. Those never happen. Those never happen. Speaking of unsportsmanlike, you had, I think, the call of the year. Tell us about your unsportsmanlike in week 9.
Oh, well, that's very kind of you, Ryan. And interested to hear what the comments have below. I had a play where a team lined up on sort of a pistol formation, quarterback and shotgun, running back behind them. The coaches on the sidelines began to yell at the quarterback. Hey, you're not supposed to be on. You're not supposed to be on. Get off the field. Get off the field. You're not supposed to be on. And the quarterback begins to jog towards the field as if he is going to substitute himself. They then hike the ball to the running back. I blew the play. I was the white hat for this. I blew the play dead. I threw a UNS on the head coach, who was the one who was verbally saying that, because in my interpretation, it's a variant of the where's the T play. If we look at the casebook situation, I believe, Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong, 9-9B situation, either 1 or 2. In that it describes the classic where's the T play, which is where people pretend like they don't have a T or have the wrong T, and use verbiage in order to deceive the team into thinking the snap is not imminent. And so that's what I ruled. Coach was understanding of it once I explained it. They did not tell me in the pregame conference they were planning on running that, because I would have corrected them. But I had a UNS on the head coach, a dead ball, because we don't want that play to keep going on. I've talked to some people about it, and they said, well, why don't you call it like an illegal participation as a live ball? But really, the thing is, we want it to be address the safety issue. And the safety issue is you don't want kids to question whether a substitution is real or not, for injury or for whatever. You don't want a kid to get lit up when he's genuinely walking, out of the field of play, because the play before we allowed people to use fake words about having to get off the field. So knew it was funky from the get-go, Ryan, because I counted 11 with my U, and usually the quarterback knows if they're supposed to be on the field or so my sort of radar was up, and then once the snap happened, I said, oh no, this is what that was, an illegal play, and called it. But interested, we do not have video because this was a small school in a rural part of the state, but interested to hear what people have in the comments on that. Are you calling a UNS on that as well?
Yeah, when the football crew shows up from Vancouver, this town doubles in size. Great call. I don't. Yeah, at other levels, at the professional level, the NCAA level, and the NFL level, fine, whatever. But these are still kids, even though some of them are older kids. Yeah, I don't think there's any place for that. And so when you told me you did that, I was really happy for it. That's a very good call, and that's an unsportsmanlike. We got a call, and hopefully these coaches next time will tell us they're going to run those plays, and we can save them in the pregame from getting those 15-yard penalties. And speaking of unsportsmanlike, let's go to another play from this season. A very probably now it's an infamous, a famous, a very popular, a viral unsportsmanlike conduct foul.
This looks like Sierra Canyon, Bronny James High School, if I'm correctly. And everybody fell over, Ryan. Everybody fell over. Not what we want to see there.
So the team in blue was making fun of the team in gray because the team in gray was cramping a lot, but only on defense. And there's the coach. Coach didn't like it. Coach was very upset. What eventually happened, though, is they threw an unsportsmanlike conduct foul on both teams, and then they ran the remaining seconds off of the third quarter, flipped ends, and started the fourth quarter. And the team that made this little, sketch, this little comedy sketch, they went on to win, I think, 30-0.
Yeah, Ryan, I don't like this at all. I don't like it for many reasons. It's escalating behavior. If there is, some concern about, I would hope there would never be, but intentionally faking injuries or something, talk to the officials. Let's adjudicate this, through discussions. Let's not do a big sort of display like that on the field. It's disrespectful. It's needlessly gonna make things more contentious. I know it's tough in the moment. They probably the officials on the field probably had no idea what was going on, but as soon as I see something like that, I'm throwing a flag. I'm making a big deal of it, because I want cooler heads to prevail. And I know that sounds weird. Why would you throw a flag and stop the game if you want cooler heads to prevail? Well, because the other coach is going to get really upset, which is what happened, and he walked on the field. So as soon as I see an act like that, we're going to have a UNS. I'm probably charging it to the head coach. I'm sending every single player off except the center for at least a play. And then we're going to play football. I'm also going to, after the UNS, I'm going to have a discussion with the coach, let him know that that's, halfway to being ejected, and let him know, that behavior like that is not going to be tolerated. We would have good relationships with coach, but those types of behaviors are just things we just can't tolerate in football. Ryan, your thoughts?
Yeah, I do want to say one thing, and I made a video about this too. Here's the play. I'm going to say this on behalf of the crew, that maybe this looks worse than it actually is, and the crew might have said, you know what, defense, the team that was always cramping, you probably weren't cramping that much. We can't say in one way or the other, so you're fine. It didn't work. Just you're fine. They made fun of you. Let's go. And to the offense, the team that took the dive, that did the little sketch. Hey, you got them back. Yeah, they probably weren't cramping as much as they said they were, but you're gonna win. This game's over. It didn't work. It didn't slow you down. So let's go. So I'm speaking on behalf of the crew that maybe that's what they sensed being on the field, that it just looked worse than it was, and that's why nothing really happened, because those unsportsmanlike just offset. My my initial reaction was, I want 2 on the team that took the dive, 1 on the other team, and I want the team that took the dive, I want their coach ejected. So I was pretty harsh, maybe a little harsher than you even. So that was my initial reaction watching it. Having watched the game and having seen the video a bunch of times, I just wanted to come out and say that on behalf of that crew that was there.
Yeah. Yeah. When we have these sort of weird things, because in your pre-snap, you're not thinking about, oh, is everyone going to do a coordinated that, that's not even on the radar. So I don't blame the officials for not acting sort of immediately and not immediately going knowing what's going on, because I know I've had situation in a game where something weird happens and it takes you a second to sort of realize it. I had a game earlier this year. I had a player run off the sideline at the last minute, and he ran to the opponent's team or the opponent's side. And so he run, which was my side. I was the wing for that. So he runs over and he just turns around and stands in between 2 players, acting like he was. And it took me a second to realize, wait a second, he can't do that. So I respect, the fact that there was a lot going on in this. I would just say, keep in the back of our brain, if we do see something really weird and we do see something that could escalate behavior, let's immediately get control of the situation.
Excellent. And thinking of weird things and thinking of things that go wrong, let's go back to the video and see one of my big mistakes, my biggest mistake of the season, which earned me the nickname Terrible, Terrible, Terrible.
Shotgun forgot. 2 receivers on the near side, 1 on the far side. Vanderpool the back. Back to pass goes Scott. He's going to just take off and run. Get to the outside. Get to the 30, 25. Spun down there at the 22.
They got the timeout called. They got the timeout called.
The horn went off.
Well, no, they got the timeout called.
Timeout before the horn went off. So there should be at least 1 second on the clock. Clock operator has a halftime up there, but there's 1 more down here.
Oh. They called that.
They called it. They did not.
That is terrible. Here comes Coach Baldwin. He's going to come unglued.
Yeah, I don't blame him on this one. The timeout was called before the horn went off, and Baldwin is not happy whatsoever.
Yeah,
you called the timeout. I heard the horn, so there had to be at least 1 second left.
This is a terrible, terrible, terrible decision that they're making right here.
And this was in the same stadium as the first video we saw, so it must be this stadium.
Same end of the field too, Ryan.
Boy, I can't watch this enough.
And so Ryan, walk us through what's going on, in this situation.
I heard the horn and the clock's behind me. I heard the horn, so I didn't bother to look around. And then we went to the crew and I asked how much time's left, and nobody could say that we had any time left. So we said the half is over.
And upon further review and inspection, what went down on the field that night?
Our assigner was there and said that we still had 2 seconds on the clock. So, that was great having your assigner there. But no one had any positive information that there were still time left on the clock when that play was over. And so I had no recourse but to say, hey, this half is over. Let's go. And so we cost the team a chance to maybe score. Well, we cost the team a play at least. And I feel very awful about that. It sucked. I felt bad. Now, when the missed field goal, maybe I was talking to the guys. Maybe I'll take a step back further from the goalpost. But I believe mechanically they did everything they were supposed to, as enumerated in our Washington State's mechanics manual. We probably didn't follow the mechanics manual to a T, which cost us. And I know I did slow played it like it was a JV game or below. That's not good. So going to learn from it, obviously, as we go forward. And I tell you what, my eyes didn't come off that clock at all after that for the rest of the season. I was watching that clock diligently, even when it was behind me. I just felt really bad. Didn't want to interject in a game like that. And what's funny is I thought we did a pretty good job minus that one play or that one incident. Maybe that means we can't do a good job, but I thought take that away. I thought the crew did a pretty good job that night. The team that I screwed, Shelton, they come down from the Olympia area to play our teams, so they're not in Vancouver, but they're now in a league that's pretty much all Vancouver teams, Vancouver, Washington teams. So they were a class act. The coach shook my hand at the end of the game. I know he was frustrated because when we came out of the halftime, he was still talking about it. So again, feel bad, learned a lot, and it actually kind of helped me. It helped me because made a big error, made a big screw up, and everything else was just kind of water off a duck, if you know what I mean. So it helped me just to kind of put everything in perspective as I went through the rest of the season.
And it's tough. And this stadium, the clock is to Ryan's back, so Ryan didn't have any view. I think the takeaway that from the situation after you've talked about it, Ryan, is always know your game situation, right? So game situation is we're at the end of a half, so somebody might be looking for a timeout if they are tackled in bounds. So if I'm a wing, I always tell the head coach, I'm going to be looking for you. Coach, be here if you need it, and let me know, make sure that we're on the same page. And then second, as soon as that play is ruled down, I'm hearing a timeout from the side, I'm looking at that clock. And that way, if there is, a slow clock operator in the stadium, we can address it as a crew. So I think that'd be the big takeaway. Know your situation. And if you are calling a timeout in those, end of the half, end of the game sort of situations, just keep an eye on the clock, but it's also completely understand the situation you're in, because if you, as a white hat, your back's to it, you're not seeing it, and you ask the crew and nobody on the crew can tell you, yeah, there was this much time left, you're in a tough situation then, because you don't necessarily have all the data to, make an informed choice there.
Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate that. A lot of good stuff there. A lot of good takeaways you presented us from that incident. So I appreciate that. Now let's get to your big news, Ryan. Something happened to you this season. Tell us what it is.
Oh, that's very kind of you to point that out, Ryan. I was selected by our association to represent the association in the state semifinals. So the Saturday after Thanksgiving, I'll be traveling to a location, not sure of where quite yet, but somewhere throughout the state of Washington to do some high level football. Really excited for the opportunity, really excited to represent the association, make sure that I will represent them well. So thank you for that call out, Ryan, and look forward to it. And yeah, my wife certainly, is understanding that my football season's extending all the way to almost December this year.
Yeah, and that's funny because it is kind of good and bad. Great job on getting selected. You totally earned it. Like I said, I've worked with you several times this year. You did a great job. I was very impressed. And yeah, so you get to go to a state playoff game. That is awesome. It's a great experience. But the flip side of that is the significant other. You get about a month of officiating, because if you're going to state, you're also going to get more games leading up to state, because the signer wants to keep you involved. And so Ryan will have a game every weekend up until his big game the Saturday after Thanksgiving. When I was selected to go to a state playoff game, I had that quarterfinal, because you do this, you'll do a semi. I did a semi.
Mm-hmm.
That quarterfinal, I had a game, and my partner goes, "You're working that game?" I go, "Yeah." "Did you think I was done?" And she goes, "Yeah, I thought these games from here on out were for upper level officials."
Oh no.
That was good. My confidence is always pretty low anyway, so that was great. That really boosted me. So that was my significant other and state playoff game story there.
And so, here in Washington, our final is the 5th and 6th of December. Let us know in the chat. Are you guys playing football that late in your state? I mean, that seems awful late to me, Ryan. But hey, let us know where in your association, how late does it go? Anybody go, into mid December? Anybody the week before Christmas doing shopping and doing games? Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, I know some areas start couple weeks, maybe even 3 weeks before we do. I don't know if they have an extended playoffs or what, but yeah, December 5th, I think this year. We actually, you may think it's bad weather here in the Pacific Northwest, but actually December 5th will be okay. It might be a little cold and wet, but it'll be okay.
Yeah, the weather here, it's relatively mild year round. As long as you're on the western side of the state. If we do have to travel to the eastern side of the state, I think it's a mixed bag out there. But yeah, the weather's relatively mild here, so not a huge issue. I grew up in Massachusetts, and come December, that can be quite cold for some of those games.
Yeah, and you're right. It does depend on where you're going in the state. I have an idea of where I think they're going to send you, because I just have an idea. But yeah, you're right. There's some parts of the state where the weather will be far worse. But out here in the I-5 corridor, the Seattle, Vancouver area, December's wet, generally wet and a little chilly, but not too bad.
Very good.
Not too bad. Well, Ryan, congratulations. That is awesome. Definitely deserve it. And we'll be rooting for you and supporting you in your big game. And that's awesome. It's also awesome that you joined us for another episode of Officials Timeout. We really appreciate it. Ryan, best of luck in your big game. And we'll leave everyone with the 5th down.
Just a great emotional, swing, if you will. Advantage going into halftime.
Well, as you said just a moment ago, a minute 30, our defense has been sound, and we're going to get the ball coming out in the third quarter to really start to impose ourselves, like we go back to the keys to the game. Let's get a big stop here, Mike, and go in 20-0 or more at halftime.